Good afternoon, my name is Violet Price. I've been doing 2007 style video blogs, and I've been asking my Twitter followers for questions. And one question I have two today. One question I got was from someone named Ruby on Twitter, one of my cool oomfies and moots. She said, what's it like to make films as a trans woman? And it's a weird question, even though it's a normal question, because I don't really make art as a trans woman. Like when you're drawing a line in a painting, you're not trans woman drawing the line, you're just drawing a line. And I feel like a lot of art, like I think part of the allure of art is that it is a genderless activity in some ways. I was very into electronic music in my 20s. I would make it like 8 to 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, 7 if I felt like it. And I loved it. Every second of it was great. I felt like I was like winning something. Brought me this incredible joy. And there's a thing when you first come out as trans where like you kind of go back and you'd be like, oh, this was for this reason and this was for this reason. And part of me was like, maybe I liked making electronic music because it was like alone in a genderless space, and that may or may not have been true. There's also like something I worry about where you're like overcorrecting, where you're like, well, maybe you just like making music. Like it's not, maybe it's not, everything wasn't an elaborate trans quote. It's impossible to know in the past. Maybe it's a little bit of both. Um, but as far as making art goes, I feel like art is a particularly, as well as many things are a genderless activity. That's why the question was kind of, I've been thinking about it a lot. But then I realized the person who asked it was a sex worker. And that job you definitely do as a trans woman. And then I kind of understood the question more, which, like, I never feel more like a trans woman than when I'm doing sex work or similar. Not to say I do sex work, but you know what I mean. Anyway, so that was that question. And then the second question was from CyberSip, was my favorite question to ask her. And she asked me to just talk about music videos, which was a fantastic question because I'm so obsessed with them. If I go on a little long, it's because I'm obsessed with them. Um, I wanted to be, why did I get into making music videos? Well, part of it was, if you're a certain age, let's say, in my college dorm room, like Spike Jonze and Michelle Gondry DVDs, those two DVDs were the pinnacle of art. Like you would just sit around in a dorm room and put them on, and every single video that came on, all of your friends were like, how did they think of this? Like, how is Let Forever Be? How's Christopher Walken dancing? Like, even Praise You by Spike Jonze was like a YouTube video before YouTube existed, which was like the fucking mind blower. Like, ironic comedy shot on like consumer grade video. Like, what is this genius? And that, like, I think everyone, certainly I can speak for everyone in my like class of college, um, considered music videos to be this thing that we never experienced before, that gave us feelings that were the most incredible feelings that I ever felt, and from a piece of art, hands down. The first time I watched Let Forever Be was like the best moment of my life in some ways. And but that was also a time before video was accessible. I knew one person with a camera. It shot standard def. It cost them $1,500, so they were terrified to lend it to you. And even if you wanted to check them out of like the college film department, it was like you were lucky if you got it for one day. So the idea of being able to make music videos seemed inaccessible. And then I went on and I made music, and that was really exciting for me. But as much as I love music, there wasn't like a lot of market for it, like per se. I wasn't doing commercial music, and you'd put it on MySpace, you'd upload it, it'd be like your masterpiece, and then no one would give a shit. So I started doing music videos for other people when cameras got a little cheaper. I got my 5D, which was the greatest day of my life too. If you don't know, 5D was the first HD camera that a normal person could afford, that you could make professional level shit on. When it first came out, there was this huge explosion of music videos. I want to say it was 2008-ish that the 5D came out. I'm gonna say a lot of years. I'll be off by one or two, but around 2008, the 5D came out, changed the world, and suddenly music videos came back. They'd been out of fashion since like 2000, probably since 2000. 99 music videos went out. There was a time you could just watch the most amazing music videos every day. A studio could spend $1 million on a music video, not feel anything on it. It was before MP3s when music made money, and it was no big deal to drop $1 million on a White Stripes video, or like 1.5 million on a Biggie video, or whatever. It was a different time. But then there was this revival in 2008 that started with the video that went around when we're like, oh my God, music videos are back, was Canada did a song called Al Guccino, which was one of the most original, out of nowhere, very artistic, very uncompromising. And right around then, Is Tropical the Greek came out by, what are they called? Hyperfun, superhero. shame on me. Whoever did Is Tropical the Greek, they were like an animation studio, and that like blew the fuck up and was legendary. And suddenly you could go on Stereo Gum or IMVDB, Internet Music Video Database, or a number of other videos, and every day, like I would wake up every day, I would eat my breakfast. It was usually like yogurt or muesli or whatever, a muffin. I was not eating well back then at that age. Nobody eats well in their 20s, and nobody did. I didn't. I'm not going to universalize that. And I would just, for like 3 hours, I would watch every single music video I could, and it was endless, and they were brilliant, and just every day. And I kept a Tumblr, and I would like take my best video of the day. I'd give it a cute little. I had fun writing like funny little reviews of them. They would like actually make a point about something else. It was like a fun little thing. And if you like music videos, perfectmusicvideos.tumblr.com. I covered every single good music video from like 2008 to 2015, like 7 years. Every single day I did it, and I never missed any of them because the good thing is at the end of the year you could do an end of the year list, and if something slipped through my cracks, which it almost never did, but sometimes it did, I could cover that too. So if you're looking for what I consider the definitive archive of that era, many of the links are dead, but there's a lot there if you want to see it. But the other thing that made the music videos brilliant is that they were very of their time. Like there was something so dopamine fueled and so experiential about a music video back then, because it would be a reaction to that moment. Like it would be breaking rules of cinema, but it would be like the predominant rules of that exact moment. Like commercials were doing a lot of close-ups, they do like a lot of long shots. Or if a lot of music videos were going fast, you'd see somebody like Nabble come out and do these like slow, artistic, Kubrick-style videos. Like color schemes that was trending that summer. You'd either have the exact color of the summer, like there was a summer of sea punk, there was a weird brown summer that was very interesting, the Cat Daddy summer, and everything was just like of the moment, which means they don't age. They aren't meant to age, they're a commercial for a product. Going back and watching old music videos, sometimes they're good, but you can never really experience, like Saman Kashivaras did this one called Cinnamon Chaser Love Deluxe. I think it's the best music video of all time. I've thought about this a lot. He did it on a 5D. It's got a story to it. The song itself is like the coolest song. If you watch one music video, Cinnamon Chaser Love Deluxe by Saman Kashivaras, who's the top 5 music video director of all time, hands down. Kind of unrecognized, although, I mean, he directed a Super Bowl commercial. He's doing all right. But he's not a name I hear drop the way I hear like Michel Gondry or Spike Jonze. A lot of these geniuses came out in like 2008, and some of them went on to make movies, but most of them did this work that was, to me, the greatest work of their generation, but then never found, one of my favorite music video directors, top 5 for sure, is this guy Alan Cordell, who did these videos that, watch every one of his videos, they're all amazing. They're unique, they're horror, there's nothing like them. It's such an experience, they're so good, and you know, since then he hasn't made a movie, bottom line. And that, I feel like that's a tragedy when you have these talented people who've proven themselves so incredible through this like the highest form of medium, the storytelling visual medium of music videos. And then I could name like 5, like Saman Kashivaras has never made a movie. Like he's only done commercial stuff. He's pitched stuff. And one of the sad things about the music video era is how much talent there was. And I don't think Canada's done a movie. I don't think Nabble's done a movie. These guys who were just legends, just like talented, who are still probably like my age. So like they still could be working. They're still out there. And it was sort of, you know, a bummer of that era. But to get back to why I loved it, I could talk about like the lore forever. And if you want like a 30-minute video on the history of music videos, 2007 to today, I would love to make that video. But I don't think anyone wants to hear me go through year after year and be like, in this evolution. But anyways, for me, I felt like when I had my 5D in my hand, and like it was so empowering. I had my friend Matt, RIP to the gray one, like teach me how to use it, and I had a photographer roommate. And going out and capturing images and coming home and looking at the footage, it was like crack cocaine. Like I would just look at my footage and it was so beautiful and it meant so much to me. And like there was an artist. The other thing too is when you're making music by yourself, you make the song and then it's all you. But when you're working with a band, you have other people who also have this relationship with the music that you can sort of share. And although almost all music videos end up on bad terms, I think anyone who's ever made a rap video knows. Anyone who's ever made a music video, like the band hates it. Somebody hates it. There's never enough money. Like you never end up on speaking terms. Not just me, like everybody. There's the more professional, the higher level artists who are in it for the money. Those guys are fine. The bigger artists I work with, I think the biggest guy I worked with was like A$AP Rock or Micah 9. These guys have done 5 or 6 videos or more, and had careers, they'd show up, they'd know it was a commercial, they'd make it, and it'd be cool. You'd send it to the label, they'd like it, they'd release it, they'd make money. But when you're working with, like, I started off on Craigslist, and I got a million Craigslist music video stories too. When you're working with people at that level, they're not, they don't have like a team. It's not a package. It's not going to make a difference in their career. Music videos are part of a package. They only work if you have a following and you know how to target them and all these other things. Like, it's not just you make a video and you're famous. So a lot of these bands don't really need it, and they've never seen themselves on video anymore, and they can become very self-conscious. And there's a lot of things that, when you're working with amateurs, end up badly. And I'd say 3 videos that I spent like so much time and money and like made nothing on, and was so proud of. There was one, it was one of the coolest videos I ever made. The guy's like, I don't think my skin looks good in it, we're not releasing it. And I was like, I did everything on set and you brought your own makeup person. I shot it, I edited it, I did everything, and you were, the one thing I trusted you on was the makeup person, and that's killing the video. Like, that broke my heart. I love that video. The guy was really cool, and like later he even sent me an email and was like, I was being a little whatever. And I get being self-conscious, but for me, like, I was not making money in music videos. I was making music videos because I loved it, because it meant the world to me, because I love sharing this medium, and because I wanted to make one that like blew me up. I came close a couple times. I got stories on that too. But yeah, like it would just break your heart. I'd make these, like the first video I ever made that I loved, it was this breakthrough video, it was for this indie band. And I flew to New York and we made it and we loved it, and I spent 100 hours, like 12 hours a day for like weeks, editing it frame by frame so that it mathematically went with the music, and the way the motions would go, they'd be in really complicated patterns, which were meant to like draw your eyes in different directions pattern-wise to like be hypnotic. I thought I was like doing a whole new thing with the medium. And we uploaded it to Vimeo, not a popular site, with no promotion. And in like hours, it got like 75,000 views. It was like an instant hit. And then the band decided they didn't like it because it was too sexual, even though it wasn't that sexual, and like pulled it, and it became this whole mess. And that was my big shot. And like, you just have shit like that where your masterpiece is like not legally allowed to be released anymore because the band didn't like it. And they didn't pay you for it. Like, the deal was I get to make a music video. Anyway, there's a lot of sad stories in the music video game. But as I made more music videos, I realized that like it meant like it's such an impactful way to tell a story. Like, I still like Spike Jonze is the greatest music video director, and he also made Being John Malkovich, which is the best movie of all time. Like, you can make arguments, whatever, but like, are you gonna argue that hard that it's like at least the most unique movie of its decade? Like, absolutely not. That movie is unimpeachable. It's unique. Nothing felt like it. Michel Gondry, Eternal Sunshine, like arguably the best movie of all time as well. Like, not to mention Kidding, which nobody watched on Showtime. If you love Michel Gondry and have been disappointed with a lot of his work, it's a return to form. Yeah, anyway, like, it just, there's so much to love about it, and like, I feel like nothing has ever made me feel like a music video felt. Like, the first time I watched Love Deluxe by Simon Cachavares, better than the first time I had sex. Although the first time you have sex, you know, if that's the best moment of your life for anyone, like, I'm sorry, like, you had a better experience than I did. I had a good experience, but like, best of my life, like, it was decent. I was figuring stuff out. We were like touching each other's heartbeats, like trying to synchronize them. We were all romantic, we were in love. TMI, whatever, I'm talking music videos. But for me, like, taking that language and applying it to film was like important to me. Like, a lot of music video to directors, you get a lot of stigma, especially in Hollywood, where it's like, oh, you're gonna like not understand story because you're so flashy, or like, oh, it's gonna be too commercial, it's gonna miss art, which is like, I don't know, Being John Malkovich and Eternal Sunshine to begin, of how bad that is. Whereas like, I think some of the greatest music video directors, I mean, David Fincher started as a music video director. Say what you will about Zack Snyder, I'm not a fan, although Night of the Living Dead was dope, and you can't argue with his box office. There's other ones I will name that are not good. But the bottom line is like, if you can think in visuals, and if you can like see how powerful an image is, and the tropes. There are things in music videos I learned, like, in America, you define people by the car they drive. That's how you perceive people. So if you give your character a good car, there's like, visually, there's nothing equal to that in America psychologically. Like, the car, like if you think about like the Bjork video with the monster truck, that is like the most memorable, iconic, like Married to Her Forever. Or like any Spike Jonze video always has a cool car in it, or Gondry for that matter. And then you look at movies, and like the Pussy Wagon and Tarantino is unforgettable. Like, if you have a cool video, and like, if you are trying to maximize impact and you think in terms of the tropes and the language of music videos, you absolutely have to have an iconic vehicle in your movie, or you're missing an opportunity. Like Spike Jonze had a rule: every video has to have dogs in it, it has to have kids, and it has to have play violence. And if you watch any of his videos, it's almost a joke. Like the Weezer video, like it's a bunch of dogs coming out because people like dogs. It's a limbic, it's an animal thing, and to speak to people in this like animal language of advertising that we're all brainwashed into, that we're all it's at the core of our experience is like Whopper commercials. Like that's who we are. Like we're all addicted to Instagram, we're all addicted to commercials. And accepting that and using that force for good, rather than like having a car commercial just be crude capitalism, having it be like inverting that. In my movie, I use a party bus, which to me like was the most important decision in my movie, to have an iconic vehicle, and that will always be that movie and the character who owns the party bus. The movie's like, who are the people who own party buses? And that's a very music video way to approach a story. You think about something that has impact visually, and then you think about how that connects to the spirit, and like then you have a relationship that's going to be powerful. That's going to be a lot more powerful than if you didn't. If it was just someone talking about why they love something that isn't a car. Like Americans, our relationship with cars are like unconscious. I hate cars, but I understand that if you're telling a story and you put someone in like the Batmobile, you know, for whatever obvious answer, like whatever, like I think cholo cars like are totally underutilized to make any character seem 100 times cooler. Um, but like that language that like I grew up in, that like I studied, I used to like I have like on my in my Gmail drive or in my G drive like I would write like essays on like I'd watch a music video and be like, okay, there was a car here, there was a dog here, this person was angry but then they were sad, they changed emotions a lot, and you start learning that the better music videos have these patterns and these devices that draw you deeper into a story. And I just think that is like the secret sauce to making something that like really connects in a way that other things can't, that makes you special. And when I don't know if I try to think of movies as long music videos where like every scene is a mood, every scene is. I'm going way too long. I'm sorry. I knew I would. Great question, CyberSip. Thank you. Like so much better than some of the other ones. Which, no offense, I appreciate any question, but I didn't. Some people were like sending me French words I didn't understand, and when I ask for a question, generally it's like something that like I know about, so I can talk about it. It's way more interesting to hear me talk about something I have personal experiences with than something I have to Wikipedia. Although thank you for the questions. I'm not being a dick. I'm not being a dick. I swear to God. But to get back, and so when I make movies now to connect it to my current life and put a bow on it and finish up what will be a 20-minute video, my longest video yet, losing discipline with each one of these, and that's what YouTube is all about. When I make a movie, I'm trying to capture like that feeling that I had when I would watch a music video and it was something that was totally new and appealing to me, like not only cerebrally but also like in your lizard brain, and like having that as a starting place and a visual place, and like I mean, like people in my movie are always eating, they're always smoking, they're always putting things in their mouth. There's always like a sexual suggestion to things because those things just are fun. Like they draw you in. Like I'd rather see someone crash a car than park it. You know what I mean? Why park a car when you can have it hit something? Like it's a movie. Like why ash a cigarette ever? Why not leave the ash on there forever? It's like makes you uncomfortable and like that draws you in. Because like when you think about it, movies are just a flat image and someone talking, which is very boring. And to like convince you that that is real, to like create this sense of reality, like every technique, especially when we're this jaded to media, like we all watch our phones 100 hours a day from the second we're born. Like everything is fake to us. And to like really draw someone in and like actually make their time worth it and like maximize their senses, like throwing everything at you that you become accustomed to in every other medium is just good craft. And that's what it comes down to. And like taking that craft and that the way of thinking about it, where you're taking tropes and you're taking elements and you're building a concept out of all these little things that people like it has to have a dog in it and a baby and like tears and like, you know, you don't know if they're joking or not. Like all these little things that make you like kind of nervous and like then give you a little release are all what make being alive feel good. And like if you can convey that through simply moving pictures, then that to me is what makes things media feel alive and incredible. And I always want to be proud to be a music video. I know it's a stigma. Music video directors like don't have a substance. Bitch, I got substance. I got too much substance. Someone should talk to me about putting way too much substance in my movies. Because you know what? My next movie is just going to be a light comedy. Because writing all this personal stuff about identity and all this shit, it's cool. I love it. I'm proud of it. But you know, I'm gonna be on set directing like personal moments and people are acting them out, and like I don't have to do that. I could just write some funny jokes and have people crash some weddings. Like there's nothing wrong with that form of entertainment. Anyway, I got too much heart. So if you're worried about my music video background and the fact that I take discipline and like appreciate visual mediums at a higher level, which I do, then like, come on now. Come on, Hollywood. In my mind, the imaginary Hollywood that's holding me back as a music video director. Not that I've ever gotten into a room to pitch myself anyway. The only times I've ever pitched myself was for kids' cartoons, which didn't get them. That's the end of that story. Felt good at the time. Loved what I did. They said they liked me. I'm sure they say that to most people. Um, you know, that's a whole different thing. I'll do another video of pitching kid shows. I've got some very funny stories about walking into Nickelodeon studios and feeling like I matter with this amazing idea, and like then just like free. I've frozen up in meetings. I've all of it. But anyway, this is the longest video I've ever made, and my name is Violet. Thank you for hanging out, and if you made it to minute 21, God bless you. And CyberSif, 2 for 2 on the questions. Thank you very much. I deeply appreciate it. And also, Kuna Matata.